welcome to Two Blondes and a Brokerage, and today we're going to talk about what we felt in this market this last week and how we kind of think it's going to go.
There are a lot coming back on the market and quite a few price reductions, which we haven't seen, and we were joking there were like 10, which is
right.
Not
Sounds
a
like
lot.
nothing, but feels like a ton.
Just especially in the last, like you said, a month. I mean, last week we saw more inventory come on the market in 24 hours than we had in an entire month. Now, just in a week's worth of time, we've seen that, and now we're seeing things come back on the market, buyer's remorse, huge appraisal gaps that people are like, oh, I can pay that, and then they can't. But the biggest thing is price reductions, and I think we're going to continue to see that. So it's not cooling down, but it is definitely shifting to where it's becoming more of like an even playing field, I think.
Yeah, and I think that, everyone's so afraid, like, oh, the market is going to burst, right? We've talked about that, the bubble versus whatever. But I really just feel like it's a shift, and a shift from like this crazy market that we've seen, where people are going 100,000 over, waiving everything, blah, blah, blah. But now we have some inventory in the market, and buyers have a little bit more choice. And I think that has been huge for them.
Yeah.
And then interest rates rose the way they did. And so I think that, for buyers, now it's like, okay, we're going to take a little bit longer to think about this because the situation is a little bit different. Now, historically, 5% is still very low. People are going to buy and sell always because people buy and sell because they need to buy and sell, not just because of interest rates.
Right.
So I think, it's going to shift where it's still going to be very much a seller's market. I would love to see us get to a place where we have like 2 or 3 months of inventory. I mean, that would be like, wow.
Yeah.
Because right now we typically have had like 2 to 3 weeks of inventory for the last year.
And that's a stretch, yeah.
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 And so to feel that, that rush of inventory in the last week was so nice. And then, for me, homes coming back on the market or seeing price reductions, it's like, okay, that to me is a sense of normalcy. Because when we see a few homes go back on the market, right, or a couple price reductions in a reasonable price point, that to me is almost like reassuring. Like, okay, we're gonna get to a place where first-time home buyers can buy without giving up their firstborn, And so I am welcoming it.
I am too, and I think it was a huge breath of fresh air for a lot of our buyers who we've been showing for months and months and months, which is our job, it's fine. But it's also disheartening for us as realtors to just know that, like, we don't have a shot. And even though we're giving everything we can, like our firstborn, it was a breath of fresh air to see that not only the inventory's back on, but that sellers are starting to realize that you can't just ask for whatever you want to ask in this market.
Yep.
Regardless of how great it's been, a shift is never, in my opinion, a bad thing.
Yep.
Even if it goes the other direction, there's always a way to level things out. So I think it's refreshing. I think it's good, and I do foresee that happening for a little bit. Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball, but with inventory coming up and rates going up, things are going to start to, again, level out. So,
yeah. And I think that, come June, July, August, in that time point, we're going to see a little bit more, we're just going to shift slowly into that, I think, where it's a lot more comfortable and still competitive. There's still going to be multiple offer situations, but I think it's going to be more like 3 to 5 offers instead of 30 to 60 offers. And I'm for that, because that's doable for everyone in this market. And sellers are still benefiting. So it's kind of like, to me, it's like a win-win situation.
I agree.
Right now, it's almost like, it's just frantic. Yeah, and it's really hard to, like you said, it's hard for buyers. It's extremely disheartening to have someone who's like, because homeownership is such like a big step, right? For whatever reason, whether it's like their first investment property or their first home, it's huge. And to see them struggle so much with something so positive,
that's like the worst. I mean, I was just telling you about really good friends of mine who have just decided, like, this market is just too volatile. It's too uneasy. And it's like, no, not because I've put all my time and effort, but because I want to see them, like, level up.
Yeah.
And they can't level up because of where things are at. So it's nice to see things to settle a little bit. And for all we know, next week it go back up. We don't know. But for what things are kind of shifting at the moment, it seems like it could work in everybody's favor. So.
Yeah, and I'm ready for that, for sure.
Well, if you guys have questions on anything in the market, regardless of price reductions, or you just feel uncomfortable with, what's happening in just the market at the moment, we're always here to help and answer questions. But let us know if you guys need anything.
I've been trying to do like a little pause at the end because it's easier to cut if there's a little bit of